Okay, so the opener today, the first question reads, which inequality matches the graph below? This is similar to the kind of opener that we had yesterday. We know that we can go through a process of elimination for my multiple choice answers, and I can get rid of 2 automatically based on what alone?
Equal to or not equal to.
Yeah, the inequality signs. Because my boundary line is dashed, I know that it's not going to be greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So I know that choices C and D can be eliminated. It's not going to be either one of those. Now, how can I determine if it's going to be A or B?
Use your test point.
Yeah, what test point do you want to use?
0, 0.
So we're going to use 0, 0. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to substitute. So what do I substitute for y? And what I substitute for negative 2 times x is 0, right?
Yep.
So what's 0 minus 3? Negative 3. Okay, now from here, this side is not shaded, meaning my solution was not true. So if my solution's not true, then I have to pick the inequality sign that's going to make 0 and negative 3 not true. So which inequality sign would I make that 0 and negative 3 to be not true? How would I read it? I would say 0 is less than negative 3. And that's not true, is it? No, that's not true. So we would pick the y. So which letter is that?
A.
A. Are there any questions on how I came to my final answer? Okay. I'll take that as a no. Okay, let's look at our next one. So today when you guys go to take your quiz, the first problem is going to be worth 1 point. This next problem, though, is going to be worth more points. It says graph the following inequality. Well, before I can even graph this, what am I going to have to do to it? Not simplify it. Not solve it.
Slope.
Not evaluate it. Let's keep going, Ben. What else you got? What, Josh?
Huh?
What did you say?
I said
Was that Emily?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Emily.
I said slope intercept.
Yeah, we're going to write it in slope-intercept form, meaning I have to get what by itself? The y. Okay? What am I going to do first? Plus x on both sides. So then I have 2y is less than or equal to what?
6.
Not what comes first. Yeah, put your x in there first. X plus 6. Okay, my y is still not by itself, so the next step is to divide each side by 2. So y is less than or equal to. Any questions on how we got that? Okay, so there's your first point. Okay, so that'll be point 1. The second place that you're going to get your point is graphing this. So I'm going to go ahead and graph my slope, or my slope-intercept. So I go where first?
Up 3.
Okay, so there's my y-intercept,
Up 1 over 2.
and there's my slope.
Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2.
Okay, so there's your next point. Your third point is going to be on what type of line are you going to use for this particular inequality sign? A solid line. So there's your next point. Make sure when you graph your lines, you guys, it's going from one side of the coordinate plane to the other side of the coordinate plane. Okay. So that's going to be 2 points. Graph it correctly, use the correct line. All right. Step 3, according to our notes, tells us to do what? Test point. My test point we're going to use?
0.
0, 0.
Now, what if it crosses right through the origin? Can I use 0, 0?
Nope.
No, you're going to have to pick a different test point. What's another good test point that you could choose?
1.
1, 1. Yeah, you want to use positive numbers, and you want to use smaller numbers just because it makes your math a little bit easier. Okay, so what I do with this, I come back to my original equation, and I substitute. So what do I substitute for my y?
0.
What do I substitute for my x?
0.
Okay, what's 2 times 0?
2 times 0 is 0.
What's 0 minus 0?
Minus 0 is 0.
Is 0 less than or equal to 6?
Nope.
Is 0 less than 6?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to shade the side that is true. So we're going to run towards the solution. Now, if it was false, we would run away from the solution. We'd shade away from it. Oh, Ben, you can shade better than that.
That's worse than kindergarten.
Oh, no. That's like my 3-year-old can shade better than that. Oh, I forgot to bring his new picture. I could show you how he colors. Oh. Well, I think that's Addie's picture. Okay. The next part says solve the inequality from the graph. So we're going to solve this inequality from the graph. What does it not have? A y.
Oh.
It doesn't have one of them. It doesn't have a y. So we're going to solve for x, right? According to our notes, we're going to get the x by itself. So I'm going to circle the x because that's what I want to get by itself. So how do I get the x by itself here? Minus 8 on both sides. Negative 4x is greater than 8. Next step, by. And if I divide by a negative 4, because I'm dividing by a negative, what happens to my inequality sign? Flip it. Okay, this is the first part of my answer. So I'm going to box that. When you're solving for the inequality from the graph, you're going to box once you solve and determine where you're going to graph that. Okay, where do I go to plot this on my coordinate plane? I go to my origin and I go where? Negative 2 on which axis? Yeah, x-axis. Is this going to be a solid or a dotted line? Dotted line. What should your lines still have on them? Arrows. Make sure you're still drawing arrows. Some homework papers, I don't think it was this hour, but some of my homework papers didn't have arrows on their lines. Okay? Next step. What's my next step? 0, 0, my test point. Josh, where do I substitute this 0, 0 at?
You put it where the x is.
For my original equation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what's 4, negative 4 times 0?
0.
Okay, so we're basically left with 8 is greater than 16. Is that a true statement? So where do I shade on my boundary? To the left of my boundary line. Little Ferris Bueller over there. Okay. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your opener. That is going to look just like your quiz.